Hello, welcome back. Today I'm filming my May and June wrap-up. I did read, I don't know, a decent amount. I was participating in the Amazing Readathon in June, but I have since kind of dropped out of it because it was burning me out. So for May, I read 16 total. It is what it is. I had a couple DNFs. I had a couple not so great books in May. We'll just get into it. So to start us off strong, I did read Bookshops and Bone Dust, and I did DNF this at 25%. I really loved Legends and Lattes, but I didn't really like Bookshops and Bone Dust. It had even lower stakes, and it had like no stakes, essentially. I don't know. I just didn't enjoy it as much as I liked the first one. I think I liked the romance subplot in the first book a lot, because it at least gave you something with the low stakes, and the second book really gives you nothing, in my opinion. So, yeah. DNF'd that one. And I think I was trying to listen to the audio of that one. And then I also read Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I gave this a 5 out of 5. This is an Omegaverse, basically, with... this is itching me, sorry. With vampires. So, like, our main character is a vampire. This is really scratching me and bothering the fuck out of me today. So yeah, our main character, I'm really out of it. Our main character is a vampire. The main male character, the love interest, is a werewolf. So, yeah. That was a 5 out of 5. It was so good. I read it in 2 days. I can't talk today, apparently. I read it in 2 days and binge read it, and it was great. And I am on to another Ali Hazelwood book, which is not going as great. So, yeah, so generally, yeah, this has all the things you come to expect from Ali Hazelwood. Yeah, he's big and tall and brooding, and it's mentioned constantly. There's a lot of tension between the two main characters, which I really liked. I did feel like they communicated openly. There was no miscommunication stuff. There is a third act breakup, if you could call it a breakup. It's a little annoying. That's the only thing I didn't really like. There is like a little nod to potentially having a sequel at the end of it, which I would be down for. So I would hope that is going to happen. I did start, I don't remember if I started this in April, but I've mentioned it in my vlogs, okay? So The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. I have soft DNF'd it at this point, around 45%. I keep saying I'm going to pick it back up, but I'm not going to do it anytime soon because it's going to put me in a slump. So for now, it's back on my TBR cart, and it is a soft DNF. It is what it is. I also picked up How to Hold a Grudge. This was a nonfiction. I DNF'd this about 25% of the way in. Look, the idea of this is really great. However, I don't think the author really does anything other than scratch the surface here. She basically gives you some parameters to determine whether or not you should be holding a grudge, if the grudge is healthy for you to hold, blah, blah, blah. I mean, kind of things we already do, I think. This was very repetitive. The one thing you take away from this book is that it's perfectly healthy and fine to hold grudges as long as they're not, like, ruining your own mental health. It's perfectly fine to hold things against people. You don't have to forgive everything. I mean, I feel like 10 years ago, maybe, this would have been some groundbreaking pushback, but I think we're already in the mindset of sometimes it's okay to hate people. And sometimes it's okay to not want to associate with people. So I think we're already kind of pushing back against this, like, positive, toxic forgiveness bullshit. So, yeah, if you really, really struggle with holding grudges, if you really, really, really struggle with, like, people pleasing to the point of, like, you let people walk all over you and you forgive everything people have ever done to you, maybe this would be a good book for you, but it just wasn't for me. I didn't feel like I took anything groundbreaking away from it. I'm realizing upon reading this list that May was a pretty abysmal reading month for me, because then I also read How Does It Feel? I gave this a 1 out of 5. I did technically DNF it around 50 to 55%. The first half of the book has really slow pacing. I liked the main character until she kind of gets to the Fae realm, and then she kind of becomes like simpering, and I don't know. The romance aspect in this, it's somehow like insta-love, but also like he's trying to murder her. Like legitimately trying to murder her, but like obsessed with her at the same time. It's giving like unhinged level of Cruel Prince. I don't know. I felt like there needed to be some level of like middle ground there, because it was very odd to read. But he like actually kills her within the first 5 seconds of meeting her, and then is like still obsessed with her. So it's giving very much like, I don't understand emotions, sociopath. The writing, in my opinion, is objectively just not great. Not the worst I've ever read, but just... There is a thing with a forest bog, a personified creature, forest bog. I don't know how to explain this. It's very WTF. What the fuck was that? That made me want to DNF it. But I didn't, and at that point I should have. So yeah, the male main character was my real issue here. He gave me like two-dimensional edgelord villain vibes. It was not cute. He needs a little bit more rounding as a character, and I didn't like how like the personality of our male or female main character changed so much. So, and I do like dark romance, but this was just not it for me. This was bad. This was like objectively bad, and I really wanted to like it. So, oh well. Then I did read a couple manga. So I did read Alpi the Soul Sender 1 and 2. I give this a 4 out of 5. Very cute, kind of middle grade, fantasy vibes. The pacing is a little slow. I'm kind of hoping that picks up a little bit. And so far, my only other complaint is it feels a little episodic. It's like chapter to chapter, you're feeling a little disconnected. And then I did read Witch Hat Atelier 5 and 6. Again, gave these 4 out of 5. Continues to be a great manga if you're looking for something like chill, middle grade, fantasy, kind of light, cozy fantasy vibes. This is a great series. And then I did read The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston, and I have been subsequently obsessed with this book. She has a new one coming out, and I'm like dying. I'm dying. I need to read it immediately. So yeah, there's a lot of sweetness, playfulness, almost like platonic affection between the two main characters, Ben and Florence. This book, I thought it was refreshing. I know a lot of people didn't like it because like the millennialism of it all. I read a couple reviews that cited that as like cringy, and I'm just like, I don't know. It didn't bother me as much, but I am a millennial, so maybe I thought it was funny. The banter is strong in this one, like in the way that two coworkers that like hate each other would banter. I also really enjoyed the family dynamic in this, even though it's like a little cliche. It did feel realistic. Like some people have really odd families. It's just the way it is. Yes, a lot of people disliked the amount of pulp culture references in this book. Yeah, humor is decidedly millennial and dark or self-deprecating, sometimes gallow humor. If that's not your thing, then this is maybe not for you. Florence's family members feel archetypical most of the time, but I did like them. There's a little bit of a third act breakup, quote unquote, which honestly, that's my only complaint about this book was like toward the end. I could have done without that. There's a lot of romantic tension, low on the sexual tension. I found it to be quite nice. The little twist toward the end surprised me. There's 2 twists. One was not surprising. One was very surprising. And I was like, wow, I'm really glad they went there. But the only thing I disliked about this was like at the end, and I don't really want to spoil it, but there's like the third act breakup kind of thing that happens. I'm just like, I could have done without it. In the book, the main character is an author, and she goes on and on about how like grand romantic gestures, like as unrealistic as they are in romance novels, like, serve a purpose, and they're supposed to give you hope and blah, 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 blah. And then, like, they had the opportunity to do that, and then they didn't. So that was disappointing, and I disliked it. But I did ultimately really like the book, so. And on the tails of that, I did read The True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren. I give it a 4 out of 5. Again, my gripe was with the end of this one. There's a lot of romantic and sexual tension in this one. Pining, saucy kind of banter, great chemistry between the main characters. There is a single parent trope, and honestly, I liked it because the main male character was a really good dad, so. The spicy scenes are on point. You only get a couple, which, honestly, if it's not closed door and it's Christina Lauren, that's cool, because a lot of the time it's closed door. It does take a while to get to them. I think it was like 65% of the way into the book. The ending is very predictable. The third act breakup traumatized me. That's all I have to say. I really, really, really hated the third act breakup in this one. It was emotional. And I wasn't a big fan of the ending. It lacked. I wish, because there was a lot of collaboration between the two main characters, and I just wish it hadn't been a big surprise at the end. Let me just say that. So then I did read Lore Olympus Volume 6. I gave this a 4 out of 5. So obviously I really like Lore Olympus for what it is. It leans on the YA side, I would say. It is definitely not like spicy, and I'm so used to retellings being like super adult and super spicy, and I love them like that. That Lore Olympus just feels like it's lacking something a little bit. I mean, we've had 6 volumes and our characters kiss like twice, which, come on. Come on. Like breadcrumbs at this point. But that being said, I do really like the art and the story overall. It focuses a lot on Persephone's like life outside of her romance, which is kind of interesting. Interesting choice, but I do like it. So yeah, and I really like the art in terms of uniqueness. I really like how she portrays the different gods. I did read Noragami number 27. Now, this is not published yet in English. So I did read it online, gave it a 5 out of 5. I posted a whole review of the entire manga series on my blog. If you are interested in reading it, it's decently long, where I kind of talked a little bit about it. But yeah, overall, I did like the series, and I liked the way it wrapped up. I know some people had complaints about the way it ended, but I liked the ending for what it was. I think it was time. I think, honestly, it was probably past time for this manga to end. It is one of my favorites. But yeah, I think Yukine was the strongest character out of the entire series. I think Hiyori is relegated from main character to side character for most of the series. And I think the shift is weird. We basically don't see Hiyori, like, in the last whole arc. You get, like, the same kind of, like, oh, she still exists, don't forget she exists clip of her, like, doing something, or, like, a flashback to something that happened with her. But really, Yato and Yukine are the main characters. I stand by that, and it's weird because, like, the first almost half of the series, Hiyori was kind of the main character because the other two characters kind of revolved around her. But, yeah, and also Hiyori is a very static character. She didn't really have any character growth, in my opinion, while the other two had a lot. Again, I had a huge, long review on my blog, so you can read it if you're really interested in all of my complex and deep thoughts on this. I did think a overdue but appreciated character growth moment was with Nora, because I really thought at the end there she was just gonna go and side with their fucking dad. Again, like she always does, because she's a little child and just wants to please people. But she didn't, which was very nice. I was like, finally, holy shit. I think I give the series a 4 out of 5 overall. I gave the last volume a 5 out of 5 because I wanted to. And the next one is another manga that I don't know how to fucking pronounce. Gachiakuta, I think is what I've been saying, but I think it's wrong. I read the first volume. I did buy the second volume because my library takes forever to get it in. But I gave the first volume a 4 out of 5. Pretty cool new manga series. The world, magic system, the entire premise seems pretty unique to me. Has some subtle, like, / not so subtle themes of like racism, classism, consumerism, environmentalism, that stuff. Definitely plan on reading more of this, obviously, because I said I bought the second one. I also read Tamon's B-side 1 and 2. 3 out of 5 for me. It's just okay. It's still pretty funny. I feel like volume 2 has kind of more of the same from volume 1. I hope we start to get more romance building between these two characters. Otherwise, I'm going to be out because it's just going to be boring to me. In the second volume, there was a whole like, oh, he can't take care of himself, I'll be his mother thing. And I am not here for that. It was weird. I hope that doesn't continue to be a thing. I know they're trying to make the female main character out to be like wholesome despite being a super fan, but that was just a weird line to cross. So, wasn't a fan of that. But overall, it's fine. It is kind of funny to read. So, yeah. If you're not familiar with this one, basically, it follows a like pop idol star, and his original house cleaner quits, and our main female character is a super fan of his and works for the same company, gets positioned as his new housekeeper, only to find out that his entire personality is a performance, and he's actually like really emo and can't take care of himself and hates himself. So, yeah. But she, like, keeps his secret, and they kind of become friends, and she, like, works on building up his confidence and getting him to, like, believe in himself. And it's super wholesome, and he, like, kind of, in the process, like, comes to admire her is where we're at. They're just friends in the second volume. But, yeah, so far, it's good. It's pretty funny, and I like it. So I did also read Savior's Book Cafe Story in Another World. This is the first volume. Rated this 4 out of 5. I enjoyed this one so much simply because the main character is not interested in being the savior and doesn't really want attention. She's like, well, if I have to go to this other world, like, let me just run my book cafe in the middle of nowhere. And then there's like some romance type stuff developing. I do find it really interesting. I like the characters in this, and I have the rest of the existing volumes from the library right now. I need to read those. So then, after May was like kind of 50-50 a wash, June, I read 19 books total, I think. Might have actually been less. So to start us off strong, I did read volumes 1 through 8 of A Sign of Affection, and now I want to watch the anime so bad because I'm obsessed with this. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Very good manga series, very good romance. I'm obsessed. I like binge read all the existing manga in like one sitting from my library. I will admit there's something weird about the main male character that like makes me feel like something is like just about to happen. That's like drama. Like he's gonna have some deep, dark fucking secret or be like an asshole or something, or like cheat on our character. I don't know what it is about him, but he gives me the fucking creeps sometimes. I'm just kind of waiting for some major drama to happen, but like so far, it's like the most drama-free manga I've ever read. So then I also read Ready or Not by Cara Bastone. I gave this a 4 out of 5. I liked the author's style of writing a lot, along with the kind of witty and dry sense of humor of the main character. I did listen to this on audio, and I thought it was narrated very well. So if you're into audiobooks, I definitely suggest you check out the audio for this one. I got it from my library. The friends to lovers trope just never gets old for me. Shep is such a sweet, charming character. There were some things, okay? I was not the biggest fan of Shep's sister, the main female character, her best friend. And, but by the end, I did kind of have some compassion for her. I just still feel like she kind of behaves like a selfish brat. I didn't like it. I also really liked the or didn't really like the baby daddy. I wasn't a fan of how he took up so much space in the book, pretending that he was a love interest. I just don't, I think the main character gave him way too many passes, and should have told him off long before she did. So overall, this one had some seriously dislikable side characters, combined with the heavy, in all caps, focus on our main character's pregnancy. It's at times, it didn't feel like a romance. Sometimes it felt like lit fic, where our main character is pregnant. But I didn't hate it. I did like it. You don't get much in the way of spicy scenes. I think there's like one or two, but the one big one that you do get is good. So yeah. And I also read Heaven Official's Blessing, Volume 2. Gave it a 4 out of 5. That seems to be the theme. You get a lot more backstory in this one, which I'm enjoying. Overall, this is kind of a slow series, but I am going to keep reading. This volume has a couple of scenes that are really heavy and loaded with sexual innuendo, and honestly, it's fucking hilarious. So, do recommend. I also read a comic book. I read Twig. This is by Scotty Young, and I gave it a 4 out of 5. This is like YA, middle grade, coming of age kind of thing. The art in this is the main draw for me. Really cute, vibrant style of art. At times, a lot of detail, too. The story is very short. It's a one-shot comic, so like 5 issues. You can just buy it in trade paperback. It's a break from reading series, which is really nice if you're looking for that. It's really quick. I think I read it in like half an hour. Yeah, the story could be considered like a coming of age, leans toward middle grade and YA. It is what it is. It's a story about friendship and kind of has found family in it. So I also read Swing Volumes 1 and 2 and kind of felt mid about it. So I give them 3 out of 5. I am reserving my judgment until I get further into this series, but I am a big fan of Sunstone, and I love the way in Sunstone that they portray the BDSM community and kind of kink relationships in a way that's both like realistic and talks about some of the like nuance that goes into that. Swing attempts to tackle swinging and non-monogamy in the same way. It is super spicy, and I'm talking like on-page, full fucking nudity, so yeah, be prepared. The characterizations are what I would expect at the beginning. I do have some hang-ups. So our two main characters, and this is coming from a perspective of someone who is non-monogamous, or really not in practice these days, but like have been. I am polyamorous. So our two main characters basically agree to try swinging as a way to prevent themselves from cheating, which is not a great start. But my husband did point out, and they did this in Sunstone a little bit too. He's like, yeah, but that's realistic. Like a lot of people, that's why they go into it. A lot, especially couples, like married couples or like long-term partner couples. That's sometimes and most often the reason they go into non-monogamy or swinging. So that is very realistic, and I will give them that, but it's just not a great stereotype. Also, the female main character essentially coerces her husband into swinging and having a threesome as a way to convince him to try it, even though he's very vocal and obviously reluctant and uncomfortable. So instead of respecting that, she like coerces him, which I'm not a fan of. It really gave me the ick. I do think, yeah, like I said, this is a very realistic representation of how many cis-het relationships approach non-monogamy. Also very realistic reasoning for going into non-monogamy as a cis-het relationship. Perhaps we will see a lot of character growth. I will tell you, I was hoping for that in Volume 2, and we didn't get it. We mostly just got them fighting, and like, one of them really wants to be swinging more, one doesn't, and then they're still, like, not communicating and perpetuating negative, harmful stereotypes. So, I put that on pause for now, but I'll get to the rest. I have a lot of opinions on this, and I think I am qualified to give them, so I'm going to continue reading. I also read The Demon's Bargain by Katie Robert. I give it a 5 out of 5. My only complaint with this is, why is it not longer? Why is it a novella? I wanted this in a full-length novel. I liked this. It's very short. It's 120 pages, packs a punch in 120 pages. The plot's very simple. There's an NB demon, murder switch, forced proximity, and only one bed. Like I said, my only complaint is that it's so short. The main draw here is the spicy scenes, and so just know that going in, the plot is like very simple, plays second fiddle to the sex. I'm not going to spoil anything, but there is some things that if you were not into them, you won't like this, but I loved it. So, you've been notified. If you're really curious, there is a spoiler section in my review of this on my blog. I'm going to keep mentioning the blog. So then this is very different. So I also read The Moth Keeper, and this is technically a middle grade graphic novel. Gave it a 4 out of 5. Coming of age story, deals with belonging and self-discovery. Really beautifully illustrated, especially the landscapes I liked a lot. Yeah, the landscapes, the way they were depicted, like the night and daytime of the desert. Just my favorite part of this, honestly. I don't know where it stopped recording, but yeah. Anyways, I did read Wicked Beauty. Obviously, I was on a kick with Katie Robert after that. Rated this 4 out of 5. I did like this. Consent is taken very seriously. I liked that there's a happily ever after. I wouldn't even call it a third act breakup. It was more of like a third act hiccup. It didn't bother me too much because it wasn't a stupid miscommunication or really a proper breakup either. They were just kind of like, I don't know where I stand with this person. Let me just wait so we can talk about it. And I kind of liked that. I don't really have complaints about this one. It's very spicy. One of the main male characters is kind of a cinnamon roll, while the other is like overprotective and a little possessive. Helen, our main female character, is fine. She didn't have any glaring personality defects that I hated or anything, other than, and this is a spoiler, so yeah, I didn't want her to win the competition. So I expected the threesomes, obviously, going into this because of the synopsis and everything. I was very surprised that it is a MMF throuple. It's not just about threesomes. They are a throuple by the end of it, and I love that. I love that. Because it is a lesser represented polyamorous dynamic, I will say. So then I read Imakoi number 3. I gave this a 4 out of 5. Still great for me. I'm kind of just reading them casually as I like need a palate cleanser between something else. And then I also read Down the Rabbit Hole, and this is a spicy novella. I gave it a 3 out of 5. Look, it's super, super spicy. Super spicy. Read the trigger warnings before you read this book. However, I don't have a lot to say about this. I enjoyed it for what it was, which is just pure smut. The characters were developed enough for a novella, didn't have any glaring issues that I found annoying or distracting. The plot is weak, but you kind of expect that when it's a smutty novella. Definitely Beauty and Beast retelling, kind of dark, not kind of, very dark, smutty romance novella. It's fine for what it was. I'm going to read more from this author, though, because it was kind of nice to just, like, I don't know, have a break from a full-length novel. Thank you guys for watching. As always, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, please. Consider subscribing if you want to see more from me. And as always, thank you for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys later. Bye!
Shut it out, I don't mind my problems. They only make me get stronger.